Welcome to Minding Your Wellbeing, the programme that encourages you to take a positive approach to caring for your mental health and wellbeing. This is our third session, exploring emotions. We're going to talk about emotions and why they're important to our day-to-day lives. We're going to look at how we can increase positive emotions, which is really important to our mental health and wellbeing. And then we'll take a look at challenging emotions, because we all have them, like sadness or anxiety, maybe anger at times, and how we can cope with them, because they're part of everyday life as well. Let's look at emotions. There's a wide range of them. Some you're probably more familiar with than others, like feeling happy or feeling sad, feeling amused or excited, maybe feeling angry, feeling lonely, or feeling grateful. It's important to be able to notice our emotions when we're feeling them. Why do we need to notice our emotions? It means we can enjoy and appreciate our positive emotions and to better understand our negative emotions. But what it is worth remembering is that they're not constant. They change depending on the situation that we're in, maybe what's been happening in our lives generally. But it is important to notice. What may happen is that we get so busy and so distracted that we're not even aware of what we're feeling until it starts to build. And then what can happen is we can maybe snap at somebody for no reason at all. And then we realize it's because we haven't had enough sleep. We're very tired and irritated that day. So it is important for us to tune into our body, tune into how we're feeling, and we can understand then what it is that we need in that given situation. The point I'm making is that it's important to be able to tune into our emotions, to notice them. And if we can do that, we can get more control over them so that we can actually respond appropriately rather than react. Because if we snap the head off somebody, it's not going to make us feel good. And then we'll have another emotion on top of that, maybe guilt. So if we can tune in, it can prevent us doing that. Slowing down and tuning in and noticing our emotions gives time for our logical brain to kick in. That's like our common sense brain, which means we're less likely to have an emotional reaction, which might leave us feeling not so good about ourselves. The reality is we all have difficult times, which can result in some challenging emotions. Maybe we didn't get the job we wanted, or we've lost somebody, or somebody has upset us or been unkind to us. And the emotions that we feel tell us how we're affected by this event. So by taking time to feel that emotion, it allows us to process it, just to own it, that we're feeling it. Because some emotions do have to be felt. Sometimes the only way around something is to go through it. But what it can tell us is that we need something perhaps in that moment. We might need support. We might need a hug. We might just need time to relax. And the more we tune into that emotion, the more we understand what we need at that time to cope with it. So to recap, some things you can do to manage challenging emotions are to slow down and pause, just to give yourself a moment, and to notice what's happening in your body. Just tuning into what's going on and how you're feeling. To ground yourself, just maybe take a breath, give yourself time, and let your logical brain get a chance to click in. What's really going on? This allows you to respond rather than react. And consider what you might need right now. What about if you're just having a bad day? You wake up in a bad mood. It seems as if no matter what you do that day, everything is stacked up against you. So notice it and acknowledge it. You're not feeling great, but you have a choice. You can either stay with that mood for the whole day or you can do something to shift it. So I'm going to tell you 2 things that you could try. And the first one is do something positive for yourself. A little bit of self-care, something that you enjoy. It could be a walk, it could be just a nice cup of tea or a chat with a friend. Whatever you really like to do, now's the time to do it. And the other is do something kind for somebody else. We know that really does boost your mood. Now that you decided to do something about your mood, there's 2 benefits there. You can feel good about yourself because you did something, you took control, you didn't leave the mood stay with you for the whole day. And the other is you may now be more open to experiencing positive emotions. And what we want to do is increase those positive emotions because that is what really benefits our mental health and well-being. I'm going to list some positive emotions I'd like you to think about. Joy, gratitude, hope, pride, love. These are the kind of emotions that we want to increase in our lives, because by increasing our positive emotions, we improve our mental health and well-being. When was the last time that you felt joy? When you were really enjoying what you were doing and you felt really happy in that moment? I know for me, it's when all the family are around the table together, just having dinner or having a chat. That really makes me feel joyful, and I really appreciate it when it happens because it doesn't happen very often. What about gratitude? When did you last feel grateful for something or for someone? Or pride? When did you feel pride maybe in what you'd done or what other people had done? Or your culture, or where you're from? And what about interest? Like, what really grabs your interest? What do you get into almost like a flow when you're doing that you lose all track of time and it really absorbs you? So these kind of emotions are really, really important. And the more we notice them, the more that we actually appreciate them, and the more that improves our mental health and well-being. How can we increase our positive emotions? It can be different for all of us, but we know from research that certain activities and practices can really boost our emotions. So I would like to tell you about the 5 ways to well-being. These are connect, be active, take notice, keep learning, and give. And I'll talk about those individually now. Connect. This is about spending time with people, the relationships that you have, maybe with family or friends, your work colleagues or neighbours, and really investing in those relationships. It has been difficult lately for some of us, maybe to see each other as much as we would have liked to spend time together. And in these times, it's even more important to make an effort, maybe by phone or online, even writing an old-fashioned letter. Anything that will keep that connection alive. The next one is be active. It's probably one of the best pick-me-ups that you can do for yourself. So what can you do to be more active? Say if it is going for a walk, maybe invite a friend along because you are connecting then. And also being outdoors in nature, we know does benefit your mental health and well-being. The next one is take notice. Now, we've already talked a lot about the importance of noticing ourselves and noticing how we're feeling, noticing our emotions. It's also important to take notice of other things as well, like our relationships, the people that we're with, just tuning into them when we're with them. Or noticing our surroundings, what's going on around us. Because the more we take notice, the more we pay attention to what's going on in the present, the less likely we are to worry about the past or stress about the future. So how are you taking notice? Keep learning is the next one. So to keep learning about yourself, what makes you feel good, what upsets you, what do you like to do? Keep learning about your relationships, about other people. And if you've got interests or hobbies, how can you build on those? Maybe there's an old hobby or interest that you haven't had time to do lately. Could you go back to that? Just learning about the world in general, being interested in what's going on, can boost your positive emotions and improve your mental health and well-being. So the fifth and final way to well-being is give. The very act of giving can increase our positive emotions and improve our mental health and well-being. And that can be giving in whatever way you choose. It could be given to yourself, maybe giving yourself care and attention, or given to others, perhaps giving them time. So the simple act of giving is good for our mental health and well-being. How can we make those positive emotions last even longer? Because we know that negative emotions stick around much longer than positive emotions. And one way of doing that is to savor them when we're experiencing them, to stay with them, to really enjoy the moment. If you're experiencing joy, just to really feel it when it's happening. And we know if we do that, it makes the emotion last longer. And if perhaps we talk about it to others, talk about the experience that we had that made us feel good, or to remember it later on, then we're drawing out the benefits of that emotion for even longer. Try savouring, try staying with your emotion and remembering it later on, and you'll get much more benefit out of them. Probably one of the most powerful positive emotions is gratitude. And building gratitude into our life has a great impact on our mental health and well-being. So what do we mean by gratitude? Gratitude is an emotion expressing appreciation for what one has, for events that have happened, experiences felt, or the presence or action of others. Practicing gratitude increases our positive thoughts, which encourages more positive feelings and emotions. It also impacts on our relationships. It helps us feel more connected to other people, to value them and feel valued by them. And it can make us feel more optimistic and energetic about the future, to look ahead more positively. How do you bring more gratitude into your life and really practice it regularly? One of my favourite things is to write down 3 things that I'm grateful for just before I go to sleep. I might use a little notebook and just reflect on the day and anything I remember that gave me a little bit of joy that day, anything I appreciated that someone else did for me. Another thing we can do is to write a letter. To write a letter to say thank you to somebody that has done something for you, someone that you just want to say thank you to. And if you can handwrite it and then hand deliver it, the experience is even more powerful and personal. Also, you can just notice during your day, during your week, any actions, anything you want to appreciate, because by noticing we can savor them and value them, and that makes that emotion stay around for longer. So let's recap now on today's session. Our emotions are important for our overall mental health and well-being. We experience challenging emotions, but we can develop ways to cope with them. And finally, there are many things we can do to increase our positive emotions, like the 5 ways to well-being and bringing more gratitude into our lives. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll join me for our next session, which is building positive relationships.